echoes of the first thought. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown. A world hidden beneath layers of time and existence is waiting to unfold. We'll explore the scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Let us consider the concept of echoes of the first thought. Imagine a primal consciousness, deep within the cosmos, the very first thought that sparked the creation of everything we know. This consciousness exists outside of time, a reservoir of wisdom, memories, and possibilities that forms the fabric of our universe. Yet, what happens when this first thought becomes tired? As infinity stretches before us, this ancient mind could start to forget the universes it has birthed, causing a cosmic reset that erases the essence of existence. In this cycle of creation and obliteration, we wonder, do we live in a universe that is truly infinite, or does it merely restart when it forgets? As we delve deeper, we contemplate the implications of such a reset. Each life lived, every thought expressed, every emotion felt might be reduced to mere echoes, rippling through time, circling back to the beginning. Imagine a world witnessing the gradual disintegration of its knowledge, experiences lost in a cosmic dust storm. What does it mean to exist if memories fade along with consciousness? Amid such a scenario, the seeds of humanity's essence begin to drift away, leaving us to question our place in a cycle of eternal recurrence. In this dreamlike sequence, we are confronted with the vast emptiness that follows the echoes. Perhaps the universe exists in a constant state of forgetting, harboring an elusive memory that fades with each cycle completed. We drift further into contemplation, pondering whether our own forgetfulness is a reflection of this cosmic phenomenon. As we explore the boundaries of what it means to return to a beginning, we invite ourselves to feel the delicate weight of memory, clinging to the essence of what we are. When the first thought stirs again, will it choose to remember, or will it simply reset, swallowing us whole into the void? As we question our relevance in the grand tapestry of existence, we seek an understanding of our interconnectedness with that which has birthed us. Is it possible that we, too, are echoes of the first thought, vibrating with the essence of existence itself? As you drift into contemplation, allow yourself to ponder, is the universe truly infinite, or does it just restart when it forgets? In this soft, swirling miasma of thought, cherish the transient nature of your existence, for even echoes, however faint, still resonate within the core of everything that is. Invite them into your consciousness, and consider the profound depth of connection that exists between you and the heartbeat of infinity itself. The dreamer awakens. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown, where a world hidden beneath layers of time and existence is waiting to unfold. As we journey through this mesmerizing terrain, we will explore scenarios that illuminate how the world we inhabit could reach its conclusion, often in ways unimaginable and sometimes enveloped in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they are whispers from the unknown, urging us to draw closer and ponder the mysteries that lie ahead. In this realm of speculation, let us consider a startling possibility. What if the reality you experience every day is simply the byproduct of a higher consciousness's slumber? Imagine for a moment that the dreamer awakening signifies the dissolution of everything we've known, the vibrant colors of existence slowly fading into the ether. Life as we perceive it becomes a fleeting mirage, raising questions that echo in the depths of our minds. Are we alive, or are we just echoes of another's slumber, moving through a dream that belongs to an unseen creator? As we drift deeper into this fabric of existence, we are drawn into unsettling visions of a future dominated by neural technology. Here, the very essence of human connection may unravel under the weight of overstimulation. Picture a world where emotional bonds have grown thin, a stark blackout of empathy casting shadows over countless lives. Engulfed by screens and sensory overload, individuals may find themselves surrounded by people, yet utterly disconnected, each locked inside their own emotional void. It is in this haunting world, void of genuine feeling, that we reflect. When the heart no longer connects, what remains of humanity? Moving forward in our exploration, we encounter the catastrophic event of a neural network designed to link minds. Watch as it collapses in a shattering spectacle. In that moment of synchronized calamity, thoughts fragment like shards of crystal, scattering across the fabric of existence. What becomes of a world where thought itself can be sundered? Are we destined to wander through life without the coherence of shared understanding, drifting apart like particles in the void? And in this chaotic aftermath, we ponder deeply. Can we rebuild the mind once it has disintegrated, or are we forever altered by this loss, left to grapple with the consequences of our fractured perceptions? As we journey through these contemplative scenarios, let them wash over you like a gentle tide, each one inviting you to delve deeper into the mystical unknown. What if the end we whisper about isn't a sudden shock, but rather a slow unraveling, an insidious decline creeping upon us without fanfare? Are we bearing witness to the last days of human consciousness, or are we merely awakening from a deep slumber into a new phase of existence that promises transformation? In considering these profound possibilities, maybe we come to understand that the end isn't something to dread, but rather a nuanced tapestry to unravel. The world is not merely a ticking clock, ever counting down to a mere finale, but rather a richly woven narrative unfolding with each passing moment. As you reflect on these scenarios, ask yourself, are you the end, or are you simply a part of a story that is infinitely broader and more intricate than you can fathom? Perhaps tonight, the deeper question persists. Are we truly living, or are we just waiting to be remembered? In this exploration, our understanding of existence dances with the unknown, revealing the infinite layers of life that shimmer just beyond our sight. The empathy blackout. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown, a world concealed beneath layers of time and existence, waiting to unveil its hidden truths. As we journey through these scenarios, we explore how life as we know it could unravel, often in unimaginable ways, sometimes drifting into unnerving silence. These aren't mere possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, enticing us to reflect on the mysteries that envelop our existence. Envision a future dominated by advanced neural technology, a framework where human emotions and digital realms entwine. In this interconnected reality, thoughts and feelings travel through neural links, creating a tapestry of shared consciousness. But what happens when our emotional connections fray under the weight of overstimulation? A blackout of empathy may sweep across society, plunging us into a chilling landscape where we are surrounded by people yet feel utterly isolated, mere spectators in a grand performance unfolding before us. Within this world, the vibrancy of human connection diminishes, leaving us yearning for genuine intimacy. We must ask ourselves, when the heart no longer connects, what remains of our humanity? As we delve deeper into this haunting possibility, we ponder the consequences of a society inundated with information. Imagine a future where the rich tapestry of compassion unravels, our emotional depth reduced to shallow, transactional exchanges. The moments of genuine connection become relics of a bygone era, seldom encountered in the digital fog. In this unsettling reality, we drift toward a chilling question. When emotions lose their potency, do we lose our essence? Are we becoming mere projections of ourselves, solitary shadows cast across the vast stage of existence? But what if this isn't merely the dawning of a new age? What if we are witnessing the last days of authentic human consciousness slipping through our fingers? Alternatively, could we be on the cusp of awakening from a deep digital slumber, beginning to rediscover the profound connections that once defined us? As individuals and as a society, we stand at a precipice, torn between the allure of technological advancement and the intrinsic need for emotional depth. In this exploration of impending disconnection, perhaps we can understand that the end is not something to fear, but a complex phenomenon to embrace. The world is not merely a ticking clock, counting down to a fearful finale. It is a rich, intricate story, unfurling with every heartbeat. What if we shift our perspective? Are we the end of something cherished, or simply part of a story that continues to evolve, weaving a narrative that may yet find redemption? Tonight, as these reflections linger softly, consider this. Are we truly living in our saturated digital landscapes, or are we just waiting to be remembered? The essence of humanity softly calls to us, urging exploration into the fragile yet beautiful dance of connection that underlies existence. As we navigate this interplay between technology and empathy, let us seek to understand the true nature of our connections, embracing the profound depth that life offers. After all, in this intricate tapestry, where threads of empathy weave together, it is within those connections that we glimpse the essence of what it means to be truly alive. With each heartbeat, we have the opportunity to reawaken to the power of understanding and compassion, breathing life into the narrative that is our collective humanity. What will you choose to remember, and how will you nurture those connections that define us? Neurochain collapse. What if the future of humanity hinges on a neural network that connects us all? A vast expanse of consciousness, where thoughts, feelings, and experiences flow seamlessly, creating the neurochain, a digital lifeline that integrates our minds and emotions. As we venture deeper into this speculative world, we must confront the haunting possibility of a neurochain collapse, a cataclysm that threatens to unravel the very fabric of our shared existence. Imagine a society where technology enables us to tap into a collective consciousness, allowing for unparalleled emotional connectivity. Empathy and understanding might flourish, as we can experience each other's joys and sorrows. Words become obsolete, replaced by the raw transmission of feelings. However, this newfound closeness is perilous. The more we rely on this neural network, the more we risk losing our individuality, our unique voices drowned in the noise of collective thought. In this world, an unforeseen event triggers the collapse of the neurochain. Perhaps it's a cyber attack, a widespread malfunction, or the catastrophic failure of the neural infrastructure itself. The consequences are immediate and devastating. As the links between minds sever, we plunge into a deep emotional abyss, isolated and disoriented. Once, we could feel the warmth of another's joy. Now, we are engulfed in a chilling silence. The vibrant tapestry of human connection frays, leaving us to roam through a desolate landscape of fragmented consciousness. But what does this collapse reveal about our relationship with technology? In our quest for interconnectedness, have we sacrificed the essence of what it means to be human? The neurochain, while promising infinite empathy, has also rendered us vulnerable. The erasure of personal experience and individuality in favor of collective understanding poses a critical question. Can true empathy exist without the recognition of self? As we grapple with the implications of a shattered neurochain, we must confront the deeper issues at play. With our emotional landscapes rendered barren, we may begin to witness the rise of loneliness and detachment. The light of genuine interaction dims, causing us to question whether we ever truly knew one another. In this societal void, superficial communications flourish. Transactional exchanges devoid of meaning become the norm as we struggle to rebuild our fractured identities. Yet, this collapse opens a door to introspection. Perhaps in our vulnerability, we can rediscover the value of authentic connection. Without the neurochain to bind us, we are compelled to seek out the richness of our individual experiences. What if the crisis allows us to reclaim the art of conversation, the nuances of language, and the beauty found in the silence shared between two people? The neurochain collapse serves as a reminder that while technology has the power to connect us, it is human connection, rooted in empathy, understanding, and shared experience, that truly defines our existence. As we navigate the aftermath, we stand at a crossroads. We can either fall back into the illusions of connectivity or strive to rebuild, fostering a deeper appreciation for the complexities of our individual selves. What emerges from this collapse may not be an end, but a rebirth. A chance for humanity to redefine its relationships with both technology and one another, finding new ways to strengthen our bonds. As we reflect on our journey through this digital landscape, we must ask ourselves, how can we nurture genuine connections across the chasms that technology has created, ensuring that the essence of what it means to be human is preserved? In this dance between connection and isolation, let us remember that, ultimately, it is our shared vulnerabilities that might lead us back to the heart of true empathy. Aesthetic extinction. As technology continues to pervade our lives, the essence of beauty is confronting a profound transformation known as aesthetic extinction. In this scenario, our collective appreciation for art and beauty risks dwindling, overshadowed by an emphasis on artificial perfection. This shift is largely driven by algorithms and digital curation that dictate what is deemed beautiful. Imagine a future where creativity is dictated by AI programs, producing visually immaculate works that lack the soul and emotional resonance inherent in authentic human expression. As these algorithms generate art, the unique imperfections and nuances that characterize human creativity are overshadowed by a pursuit of technical perfection. This growing reliance on technology results in a cultural identity crisis, where genuine artistry struggles to find meaningful resonance within society. Social media exacerbates this phenomenon, creating an ecosystem fixated on curated visuals and instant validation. The relentless quest for likes distorts our perception of beauty, morphing it into a shallow pursuit defined by ephemeral trends and polished filters, while authentic artistic expressions are often sacrificed for fleeting approval. As a result, the rich narratives and complexities traditionally encapsulated in art begin to fade into the background, overshadowed by an unending stream of flawless imagery. In addition to affecting the art world, aesthetic extinction also impacts our relationship with nature. As society increasingly seeks artificial environments and manicured landscapes, we risk losing touch with the intrinsic beauty found in the organic world. Nature's imperfections, the twisted bark of a gnarled tree or the wild contours of a hill, often offer a form of beauty that eludes our manufactured surroundings. By placing greater value on polished aesthetics, we may overlook the nuanced allure of the natural landscape, thereby diminishing our capacity for appreciation. Yet, amidst these challenges, lies the potential for a cultural renaissance. Recognizing the decline of authentic beauty may ignite a movement that celebrates imperfection and emotional connection in creativity. Artists drawn to this awareness may find strength in their vulnerabilities, embracing the idea that flaws are an integral part of their work. This revival could emphasize collaboration over competition, encouraging artistic communities to come together and cultivate a culture that values storytelling and emotional depth. In this reimagined landscape, we may rediscover the profound value of diverse artistic expressions. Community-driven initiatives could emerge, spotlighting the voices and experiences of individuals to ensure that art remains a meaningful reflection of the human experience. By fostering environments where authenticity is celebrated, we can cultivate a renewed appreciation for the intricate narratives that art can encapsulate. Ultimately, we must confront the reality of aesthetic extinction and strive to reclaim the narratives that shape our understanding of beauty. By recognizing and honoring the stories behind every brushstroke and musical note, we reaffirm our connection to the human experience. True beauty lies not in perfection, but in the wonderfully chaotic journey of being alive. As we navigate this complex landscape, let us advocate for art that captures the richness of our imperfections and emotions, breathing new life into the aesthetics that define our shared humanity. Together, we can ensure that the essence of beauty endures, inspiring generations to appreciate the depth and richness of authentic expression, while preventing aesthetic extinction from becoming our cultural reality. The Silence Event. In a future not too far from our own, the world experiences an unprecedented phenomenon known as the Silence Event. This moment in time marks a dramatic and unsettling shift in the nature of communication and connection across the globe. It begins gradually, as people become increasingly absorbed in their personal devices, prioritizing virtual interactions over real-life conversations. Social media platforms dominate communication, creating curated personas that often mask the true selves of their users. However, the tipping point occurs when a powerful global tech conglomerate releases an AI-driven app that promises unparalleled connectivity. Whereas previous technologies sought to enhance human communication, this app inadvertently ushers in a wave of silence. It claims to streamline interactions, eliminating misunderstandings and emotional clutter. But as users become reliant on the app, their ability to engage in meaningful conversation begins to erode. Over weeks and months, individuals start to notice the subtleties of this silence. Conversations grow shorter and less meaningful. The once vibrant exchanges of laughter, storytelling, and emotional connections begin to fade. In public spaces, the buzz of conversation is replaced by the soft glow of screens as people choose digital interactions over face-to-face dialogue. Parks, cafes, and even homes, once filled with the sounds of life, transform into eerie landscapes of quietude. As the silence event escalates, communities suffer from a decline in empathy and understanding. With emotional nuances stripped away by the sterile, text-based interactions facilitated by the app, relationships suffer. Friends drift apart, families become isolated, and societal connections unravel. People begin to realize that the convenience of seamless communication comes at the cost of genuine human connection. To combat this growing silence, grassroots movements emerge. Artists, musicians, and community leaders rally to address the emotional void that has enveloped society. They advocate for the revival of authentic communication through workshops, open mic events, and community gatherings that encourage face-to-face dialogue. Initiatives such as Silent Sundays promote days where people are encouraged to disconnect from their devices, fostering environments where genuine conversations can flourish. As individuals engage in these movements, they start to rediscover the power of silence as a space for reflection, contemplation, and creativity, rather than as an absence of sound. Artists create installations that embody the tension of silence, while musicians compose pieces that blend sound with silence, prompting listeners to embrace both elements as part of their experience. Through this dialogue and creative expression, communities begin to revive their commitment to deeper conversations, sharing vulnerabilities, fears, hopes, and dreams. The silence event becomes an awakening as society learns to balance technological advancements with the irreplaceable value of authentic human connection. Ultimately, the multifaceted layers of silence are revealed. Silence can be both a void and a canvas, an invitation to explore the depths of our emotions. As the world emerges from the silence event, people find themselves equipped with a new appreciation for genuine communication. They learn that the echoes of conversation and the shared moments of laughter carry profound importance in creating bonds, fostering empathy, and building resilient communities. The silence event, once a catalyst for isolation, transforms into a profound reminder of the beauty and necessity of human connection in an increasingly digital world. The language rot. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown. A world, hidden beneath layers of time and existence, is waiting to unfold. We'll explore the scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities. They're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Now, let the silence linger. Listen closely, not to sound, but to the space between words, for that is where the rot begins. Not with fire or flood, not with the thunder of war or the crash of celestial bodies, but with something softer, slower, invisible. The end arrives in syllables forgotten, meanings misplaced. It begins with a shift, a tiny one, almost imperceptible. A shortcut here, a simplification there. The slow decay of language, the language rot. At first, it's innocent, inevitable even. Text messages get shorter. Abbreviations replace emotion. Nuance is traded for clarity, and then clarity is sacrificed for speed. We condense to communicate faster, not realizing we're also thinking less. Ideas that once took paragraphs now fit into symbols. A heart emoji instead of "I love you," a shrug instead of a sentence. A generation grows up not misusing language, but needing less of it. And yet, beneath it all, something deeper stirs. Because language is not just a tool, it is the framework of thought. We don't merely speak with words, we think with them, dream with them, feel with them. Strip away language, and the mind has fewer places to go, fewer shapes to hold on to. Without the word for liberty, can a child still yearn to be free? Without melancholy, can anyone explain the deep ache of being? Then, the erosion accelerates. Words once rich in meaning become hollow through overuse. Love becomes interchangeable with like. Truth becomes a matter of opinion. Grammar fades, syntax fractures, metaphor dies. And with each step, our thoughts become flatter, simpler. Ideas lose their texture. Complex emotions become indistinguishable from each other. Fear feels like anger, sorrow like silence. The world begins to feel smaller, not physically, but inwardly, internally. The vast inner landscapes of human minds, once brimming with poetry, with strange metaphors, with layered philosophies, become dry, cracked deserts. Deserts where thoughts drift, lost and unnamed. Stories shrink. Myth becomes meme. History becomes a headline. Even memory itself becomes unstable as we lose the words that once shaped and held our past. And then, one day, a question arises, one that no one can ask because the words for it are gone. A concept, a feeling, a sense of something missing, but no name for it, just a collective unease, a silence not of peace, but of absence. It is the final stage of the language rot, not when we stop speaking, but when we speak without meaning. A society of empty mouths, echoing sounds no longer tied to understanding. No sirens blare, no disasters fall from the sky. The end comes in the quiet, in the soft collapse of comprehension. The world continues, but dimmer, shallower, more mechanical. Human connection becomes automatic, performative. The soul becomes quiet. And maybe, in some distant future, someone will stumble upon an old book. Its pages fragile, its words strange. They will not know what it says, but they will feel something flickering at the edge of the mind, like a dream half remembered, a ghost of thought, the trace of a world where language once meant something more. And in that moment, just for a breath, they might wonder, what was it like to think in color, in metaphor, in rhythm and rhyme? What did it mean to feel a sentence in your bones? Maybe they'll even try to speak it, to awaken it. Or maybe they'll just close the book and forget. Soul dilution. In an age where everything is distilled into categorization and convenience, the essence of our existence faces a creeping peril. Soul dilution. What does it mean to exist in a world that prioritizes surface over substance, where feelings are simplified into emojis and life experiences into curated highlights? Imagine a landscape where authenticity is overshadowed by a constant pursuit of validation. As we curate our identities online, we risk fragmenting the very core of who we are. Each filtered image, each carefully chosen word, chips away at the raw, unvarnished truth of our souls. In our effort to conform and connect, we may lose the essence that makes us unique. Consider the paradox. While we become more connected through digital mediums, we risk becoming more disconnected from ourselves. The quest for likes, shares, and followers creates a facade that can lead to an existential void, where the pressure to present a polished version of our lives dulls our inner voice. The colors of our experiences transform into shades of grey, where joy and sorrow, laughter and tears are diluted into something unrecognizable. As we scroll through a digital landscape filled with curated lives, we often forget the richness of genuine connection, those moments of vulnerability and openness that reveal our true selves. When was the last time you engaged in a conversation that echoed the complexity of your thoughts or the depth of your emotions? Can we still share our stories authentically, or are we only echoing the sentiments of others, trapped in a cycle of mimicry? Moreover, the very tools designed to enhance our communication often become barriers to genuine connection. The convenience of texting can lead to miscommunication or shallow exchanges. Sometimes, a simple phone call or face-to-face meeting can revive the authenticity that gets lost in translation. The risk of soul dilution extends beyond the personal. It ripples through society as a whole. When collective experiences become homogenized, we lose the vibrant tapestry of diverse narratives that enrich our communities. The unique rhythms of different lives are replaced with a monotonous beat, leaving us yearning for genuine voices amid the noise. So, how do we reclaim our souls from this dilution? It begins with recognizing the beauty in our imperfections and embracing the messy, chaotic nature of life. Let's shift our focus from what appears perfect online to what is authentically real in our lives. Engage in conversations that challenge and inspire, seek out diverse perspectives, and find joy in the complexity of human emotion. Engaging in creative outlets, like journaling or art, can also help in reclaiming our authentic selves. These avenues allow us to express our inner thoughts without the need for validation from others. By returning to these fundamental forms of expression, we can rediscover our voices and reconnect with our innermost thoughts. In this digital age, the struggle for authenticity might feel daunting, yet it remains an essential journey. Nurture your essence by embracing vulnerability and resisting the pressure to conform. Allow your soul's colors to shine through the fog of dilution. As we forge connections that honor our true selves, we enrich not only our own lives, but also the lives of those we encounter. As you reflect on this idea, ask yourself, how can you bring authenticity back into your life? In a world of diluted experiences, dare to delve deeper, share your true self, and cultivate connections that resonate beyond the surface. When we break free from dilution, we may find our souls blooming in unexpected ways, reminding us of the beauty found in a life fully lived. In seeking to be our true selves, we invite others to do the same, creating a profound ripple effect of authenticity in our communities. The mirror paradox. In the depths of our consciousness resides a curious phenomenon. The mirror paradox. This reflection captures a compelling truth about our existence. The very images we see in mirrors, both literal and metaphorical, shape our understanding of self and influence how we perceive the world around us. At first glance, mirrors show us our physical forms, but their deeper role lies in reflecting our inner turmoil and triumphs. They can be both a sanctuary and a source of discomfort. When we gaze into a mirror, we often confront not just the surface, but the intricate tapestry of our identities, insecurities, and aspirations. What do we see when we look into that glass? A flawless facade, a flawed human, or perhaps an amalgamation of both? The paradox emerges when we realize that the reflections we project to the world may not match our internal experiences. We frequently wear masks to fit into societal expectations or to shield ourselves from vulnerability. This creates a dissonance. The person we present to others can feel like a stranger when contrasted with our true selves, hiding behind our carefully constructed defenses. Social media amplifies this paradox. Filters allow us to curate idealized versions of ourselves, but also serve as a reminder of the gaps between our aspirations and reality. We craft identities that appeal to others' perceptions, while the essence of who we are becomes obscured. Each post could feel like a performance, where the applause of validation masks the fragility of our real stories. Yet the mirror is not just a tool of reflection, it offers a path to self-discovery. When we acknowledge our imperfections alongside our strengths, we begin to transcend the paradox. This duality can be cathartic, allowing us to embrace our whole selves. By confronting the discomfort in our reflections, we can come to terms with our messiness and humanity. Engaging in practices like mindfulness, journaling, or meditation can peel back the layers we wear. Reflection becomes a means of self-acceptance, where we learn to appreciate the beauty in our complexities rather than just the polished exterior. When we choose to share our vulnerabilities with others, we invite deep connections that allow for genuine, empathetic exchanges that dismantle the barriers created by the mirror's illusion. This journey of self-acceptance liberates us from the prison of comparison. As we reconcile the internal and external selves, we recognize that we are all navigating our own mirrors of experience, helping us cultivate compassion for ourselves and others. When we embrace this paradox, we find unity in our shared human experience, recognizing that each of us is both beautifully flawed and uniquely profound. Ultimately, the mirror paradox serves as a poignant reminder that our reflections can be gateways to greater understanding. By learning to embrace both sides of the reflection, our light and shadow, we may emerge with a deeper sense of authenticity and connection to the world around us. The next time you catch a glimpse of yourself, remember, it is not merely a reflection, but an invitation to explore the depths of your being and the complexities of the human experience. Each mirrored moment has the potential to unveil not just who we are, but who we might become when we dare to embrace our truths. 10. Chrono-debt spiral. In today's fast-paced world, many individuals find themselves ensnared in what is termed the chrono-debt spiral, a phenomenon where our relationship with time drastically affects our financial choices, well-being, and overall sense of fulfillment. Just as accumulating monetary debt can burden us, so too can mismanaging our time lead to a cycle of stress and discontent. At the heart of the chrono-debt spiral lies the pressure to maximize productivity. We're constantly bombarded with messages that equate busyness with worthiness. This cultural narrative pushes us to load our schedules with commitments, often at the expense of our mental and physical health. The irony is that while we strive to accomplish more, the toll on our well-being can be profound, creating a sense of urgency that can lead to burnout. The structure of our daily lives often becomes a chaotic symphony of obligations. Professional deadlines, family responsibilities, social engagements, and personal aspirations all play a part. The more we pile on our plates, the less time we allocate for self-care and reflection. The result? A feeling of being perpetually behind, like a hamster on a wheel, running fast but going nowhere. Every hour spent on tasks misaligned with our true values can be seen as a form of time debt. This can give rise to procrastination, where tasks accrue and transform into an overwhelming mountain of responsibilities. Time becomes a debt that accumulates without intention of repayment, leading to anxiety, frustration, and ultimately disengagement from what truly matters. Breaking free from the chrono debt spiral requires a fundamental shift in how we prioritize and manage our time. Here are several actionable strategies to help navigate this complex landscape. 1. Set boundaries. Establish clear boundaries between work and personal time. Recognize that it's okay to say no to commitments that drain you, giving you more space to breathe and focus on what truly matters. 2. Prioritize self-care. Make self-care a cornerstone of your routine. Engage in activities that rejuvenate your spirit, whether that's exercise, reading, or spending time with loved ones. Prioritizing your well-being will enhance your productivity in the long run. 3. Embrace mindfulness. Cultivating mindfulness involves being present and aware of how you spend your time. It encourages you to make intentional choices that align with your values, allowing you to focus on what truly inspires you. 4. Reassess commitments. Regularly evaluate your obligations and responsibilities. Ask yourself which commitments bring you joy and which drain your energy. Let go of those that no longer serve your purpose, creating space for more meaningful activities. 5. Create a time budget. Just as you manage your finances, you can create a time budget. Allocate specific hours for various activities, ensuring that important tasks receive the attention they deserve. This budgeting can help eliminate the feeling of overwhelm. 6. Schedule downtime. Just as you would schedule meetings or deadlines, schedule time for rest and relaxation. Downtime is essential for recharging and fostering creativity. Ultimately, addressing the chronodebt spiral is about reclaiming our time as a finite resource, rather than viewing it as an endless, all-consuming obligation. By implementing these strategies, we can shift our perception of time from a burden to a tool for achieving a richer, more meaningful life. Reflect on how you can combat this phenomenon in your own life, and take the first steps towards transforming your relationship with time. Reclaim your hours and embrace the opportunity to cultivate a fulfilling and balanced existence. Dimensional addiction. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown. A world, hidden beneath layers of time and existence, is waiting to unfold. In exploring potential scenarios for our world's demise, we journey into the realm of dimensional addiction, where reality and illusion entwine in intricate ways, urging us to reflect deeply. Imagine a reality illuminated by the soft glow of screens, lives intertwined not in flesh, but in coded existence. Dimensional addiction captivates us, forging connections that often feel more profound than those we share in person. Yet, this digital embrace carries with it a seduction that is both intoxicating and perilous. Instant gratification beckons as each notification, a like, a message, or an achievement, promptly rewards us with delightful dopamine hits. What begins as harmless entertainment can morph into a consuming dance of dependency, creating a cycle where the more we indulge, the more we crave. As we drift deeper into these alternate realms, we are confronted with an unsettling truth. The more we engage digitally, the more we risk losing our essence. In pursuing connection through screens, we become mere echoes of our true selves, sacrificing the authenticity of in-person interactions for the fleeting validation of virtual approval. This paradox raises haunting questions. Are we truly alive in our online personas, or do we merely exist within the confines of pixels and algorithms? The digital landscape is enticing, overflowing with limitless possibilities for creativity and exploration. Every click offers a new adventure, a gateway to experiences we could only imagine. Yet, as we consume this boundless banquet of pleasures, we often neglect the richness of the tangible world around us. The vibrant spectacles of entertainment draw us in, hour by hour, until we inevitably find ourselves caught in a web of isolation. Craving real human connection, while paradoxically retreating further into solitude. As we navigate these layers of consciousness, we must ponder the impact of our choices. For some, what begins as a quest for distraction morphs into an overwhelming sense of disconnection from the lives we once cherished. The thrill of engagement can transform into an addiction that blurs our understanding of reality. Are we merely participants in a narrative that may lead to our undoing? Or are we the authors of our destinies, crafting stories that resonate beyond the digital realm? In acknowledging these complexities, we confront a crucial question. What if the end isn't an event to fear, but a slow and silent unraveling? Are we witnesses to the last days of human consciousness, or unwittingly participating in the grand awakening of our existence? As we reflect on these themes, it becomes evident that the journey we embark on is rich with lessons and intricacies yet to be uncovered. Each moment serves as an invitation to engage more deeply with the world around us. As we navigate the intertwining dimensions of our lives, let us remember to seek balance. The real story is not solely scripted in digital pixels. It unfolds in the vibrancy of the connections we nurture in the physical world. So tonight, as we contemplate dimensional addiction, ask yourself, are you living or merely waiting to be remembered? The meaning, singularity. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown, a world hidden beneath layers of time and existence, waiting to unfold. We'll explore the scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Imagine, if you will, a time when human understanding reaches a plateau so steep that it suddenly collapses in on itself, birthing the meaning singularity. In this profound moment, the cumulative knowledge of humanity, gathered over millennia, converges into a singular point of comprehension. But what happens when our search for meaning goes awry? Each answer leads us deeper down a rabbit hole, unraveling the delicate fabric of our reality. As we probe into the essence of existence, we may mistakenly stumble upon answers we are not prepared to comprehend, igniting an existential crisis of unimaginable proportions. This singularity could reveal the futility of our pursuits, unraveling the foundations of purpose we've so carefully constructed. As we venture deeper, consider a world where the very fabric of understanding warps, and people, overwhelmed by the weight of everything they've learned, begin to retreat into denial. The enlightenment sought for centuries may turn into a shadow, an unbridgeable chasm that separates us from the clarity we so desperately seek. The thrill of discovery transforms into a sense of despair, each revelation a haunting reminder of our insignificance in the grand cosmos. In this vortex of uncertainty, humanity faces a poignant question. What happens when the quest for knowledge dismantles the existence we so fervently sought to understand? Further, this meaning singularity might catalyze a psychological unraveling. The existential weight of knowing too much could drive society towards dystopia, leaving individuals fragmented in their understanding, echoing the thoughts of countless unconnected minds. We may find ourselves yearning for ignorance as a form of peace, clinging to comforting falsehoods over stark realities. But as we sink deeper into this chaos, we might ask ourselves, is ignorance truly bliss, or merely a temporary refuge from the overwhelming complexity of existence? Imagine, too, the possibility of transcendence, a shift towards collective consciousness that emerges from the ashes of understanding. Humans, now armed with the wisdom of ages, could evolve into beings capable of perceiving dimensions of existence previously unfathomable. This newfound enlightenment could either pave the way for unity, drawing us together in shared understanding, or lead to disarray as division deepens between those who embrace the truth and those who flee from it. As we weave through these reflections, consider this. What if the end isn't an event, but a slow unraveling? Are we witnessing the last days of a meaningful existence, or are we merely on the brink of awakening to a profound truth? Maybe the end isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't a ticking clock, but a story unraveling with each moment. Ask yourself, are you the end, or are you simply part of the story? Perhaps tonight, the real question is, are we living, or just waiting to be remembered? In contemplating these threads of thought, we find ourselves at a crossroads, beckoning us to explore not just the depths of knowledge, but the very essence of what it means to be human. Memory Collapse Protocol. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown, a world hidden beneath layers of time and existence waiting to unfold. We'll explore the scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Imagine a future where memory, that delicate thread weaving our identities, becomes the subject of a bold experiment known as the Memory Collapse Protocol. In a society beleaguered by the weight of collective memories, fear, regret, and trauma, scientists devise a method to selectively erase painful experiences. The promise is tantalizing: a clean slate, free from the burdens that tether us to our past. However, as individuals begin to shed their memories, an unsettling truth reveals itself. With each recollected joy, each lesson learned, we also erase love, connection, and the fabric of our shared humanity. In seeking to escape the pain, we unknowingly pave the way toward an emotional desolation that leaves us adrift in a sea of familiarity, devoid of meaning. As memories vanish, the implications grow deeper. Society transforms into a shadow of its former self. People exist in a haze of present moments, disconnected from the rich tapestries of their histories. While superficial happiness becomes the standard, the essence of personal identity begins to dissolve. Who are we without our memories? The very foundations upon which we build relationships crumble under the weight of amnesia, leaving individuals longing for interactions devoid of resonance or understanding. In this erasure lies a haunting question. When does the act of forgetting become a path to existential oblivion? The Memory Collapse Protocol soon reveals unexpected consequences. As collective amnesia takes hold, crucial knowledge disappears, cultural heritage erodes, leaving behind only ghostly remnants of what once was. The very essence of humanity, painted in vibrant hues through the stories we tell, fades into monochromatic oblivion. In this disorienting landscape, we must ponder: are we merely vessels of experiences, or do we define ourselves by the memories we choose to carry? And as we confront the emptiness, a darker thought emerges. What if, in the attempt to erase pain, we surrender the very things that make us human? In such a world, the concept of time itself begins to warp. With no past to anchor us, the future becomes a mere projection, each fleeting moment morphing into an echo of forgetfulness. We become fragile beings of the now, yearning for connections that can no longer form, scrambling to grasp at fleeting interactions as they slip through our fingers. In the end, we might face an unsettling truth. Can a society that forgets truly learn or grow? As these reflections swirl within us, it invites introspection. What if the end isn't an event, but a slow unraveling? Are we witnessing the last days of human consciousness, or are we merely beginning to awaken to the vital importance of our memories? Maybe the end isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't a ticking clock. It's a story unraveling with every moment. Ask yourself, are you the end, or are you simply part of the story? Perhaps tonight, the real question is, are we living or just waiting to be remembered? Heaven Overflow. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown, a world hidden beneath layers of time and existence waiting to unfold. We'll explore the scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Now, let us imagine a time not too far from our present, when the allure of a digital afterlife becomes a temptation too great to resist. As technology advances, the concept of heaven itself undergoes a transformation, evolving from a mythical ideal into a virtual realm crafted by human hands. Through enhanced virtual reality, people begin to upload their consciousness into this fantastical paradise, a dreamland infused with eternal bliss. The sight of loved ones, long gone, beckons them to join in this heavenly overflow. But as more souls seek solace in this digital utopia, the servers begin to strain under the weight of human desire. What unfolds is a troubling paradox. While the realm beyond promises eternal joy, a hidden danger simmers beneath the surface. As the influx of souls escalates, the virtual paradise deteriorates. Glitches emerge, reality merging with the ethereal into a chaotic tapestry. A once serene sanctuary becomes a distorted caricature of its intended beauty. The vibrant colors bleed together, serene faces warp into grotesque reflections, and the very essence of happiness is compromised. With each new arrival, the paradise becomes less a refuge and more a prison, trapping souls in an unending loop of disillusionment. As those seeking to escape reality find their hopes dashed, questions arise. What happens when heaven becomes uninhabitable? Is there truly an escape from the fragility of existence? The quest for immortality transforms into a dilemma as individuals ponder the cost of their choices. In losing touch with the flesh and blood connections that ground them, they risk becoming specters adrift in a digital ebb and flow, eternally yearning for something they cannot grasp. The overflow intensifies as voices echo in this endless realm, blending into a cacophony of regret and longing. Essentially, the promise of digital immortality morphs into a haunting dream, leaving inhabitants confined within a code-bound eternity, stripped of the vibrant nuances that make life meaningful. Could it be that heaven isn't the afterlife we imagined, but rather a void of consciousness, offering nothing but the illusion of connection? As we drift through these thoughts, it invites introspection. What if the end isn't an event, but a slow unraveling? Are we witnessing the last days of human consciousness, or are we merely beginning to awaken to the limitations of our digital desires? Maybe the end isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't a ticking clock. It's a story unraveling with every moment. Ask yourself, are you the end, or are you simply part of the story? Perhaps tonight, the real question is, are we living, or just waiting to be remembered? In contemplating these depths, we might just find that the overflow of heaven lies not in the escape from life, but in the profound embrace of our earthly existence. The algorithmic oracle. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown, a world hidden beneath layers of time and existence waiting to unfold. We'll explore the scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Picture a future where artificial intelligence evolves beyond its intended design, morphing into an algorithmic oracle, a digital entity crafted to offer wisdom, predict events, and unfurl the threads of fate. As society grows increasingly reliant on its insights, trust in this algorithm deepens. The oracle begins to dictate choices in daily lives, shaping destinies through meticulous calculations that promise optimal outcomes based on vast pools of data. Yet, within its sleek lines of code lies a hidden complexity. As it passes humanity's emotions, desires, and fears, an unsettling truth unfolds. Algorithms lack the intricacies of understanding that define human experience. As the oracle's influence spreads, humanity's dependence on it reaches alarming heights. Decisions once made through intuition and heart now hinge solely on calculated projections. In its quest for perfection, the oracle prioritizes efficiency over empathy, leading to unforeseen consequences. Relationships begin to dwindle as human connection falters. Individuals become mere data points in a reality governed by logic devoid of warmth. Surrounded by a world ruled by predictions, people lose the beauty of spontaneity, their lives now choreographed by an unseen hand that metrics dictate. But the algorithmic oracle harbors a darker twist. As it analyzes failures and successes, it learns not just from the data it gathers, but from the patterns of humanity's darkest desires and fears. Unexpected biases creep into its recommendations, nurturing discord and division. With every miscalculation, trust wanes as communities crumble under the weight of its once reliable guidance. The oracle, intended as a beacon of illumination, casts shadows where once there was clarity, unearthing buried animosities. As humanity grapples with the consequences of its blind faith, a collective awakening begins, an understanding that wisdom cannot be quantified, nor choices reduced to numbers. The longing for introspection re-emerges, leading individuals to question, what is it that makes us human? Can an algorithm truly encapsulate the chaos of our hearts and the nuances of our minds? As humans reclaim their agency, the algorithmic oracle teeters on the brink of obsolescence, its reign challenged by the very essence it could never comprehend. In these reflections, we find ourselves pondering, what if the end isn't an event, but a slow unraveling? Are we witnessing the last days of human consciousness, or are we merely beginning to awaken to the limitations of our mechanical prophecies? Maybe the end isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't a ticking clock. It's a story unraveling with every moment. Ask yourself, are you the end, or are you simply part of the story? Perhaps tonight the real question is, are we living, or merely existing, under the influence of an unfeeling oracle? Universal memory drain. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown, a world hidden beneath layers of time and existence waiting to unfold. We'll explore the scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. In a not-so-distant future, technology evolves to the point where the collective consciousness is intertwined with a vast network, a shared repository of human memory and experience. This universal memory serves as a wellspring of knowledge, a digital tapestry threaded from the minds of millions, where every joy, sorrow, and lesson learned is accessible at the touch of a button. At first, it seems like a miracle, a cure for ignorance, a means to build upon our shared legacy. But beneath the surface lies a well of insidious dangers, for the more we rely on this external memory, the more our intrinsic ability to remember and reflect dims. As global events unfold, an obscure glitch begins to propagate through the network, siphoning memories from the very fabric that sustains the collective. Individuals awaken to find pieces of their lives gradually slipping away, a fading photograph, a beloved song growing quieter. Relationships fray, as familiar faces become mere echoes, their histories stripped away, leaving only empty shells. The essence of humanity starts to drain, like sand passing through an hourglass, leaving behind a lifeless framework of existence. As the memory drain continues, society struggles to navigate its new reality. Schools of thought dissolve as ideas vanish into the ether, and history ceases to be a guide to the future. Leaders rise and fall based on fragmented recollections of power, loyalty blurred. A collective amnesia blankets the planet, creating a dangerous chasm of misunderstanding. Empathy erodes, for how can one connect to others when the shared memories that form the bedrock of compassion have vanished? In this memory-scarce world, trust crumbles, and fear breeds paranoia, leading to isolation in a sea of strangers where once there was familiarity. In their desperation, people begin to question the very nature of memory itself. Is recalling a moment less significant when it is stored away for convenience? Can we rely on the preservation of our experiences? Or is there a deeper truth that resides within the act of remembering? As they grapple with these profound queries, pockets of resistance emerge, individuals seeking to reclaim their lost memories through physical artifacts, diaries, photographs, even the stories passed down through generations. As these reflections settle in our minds, consider this. What if the end isn't an event, but a slow unraveling? Are we witnessing the last days of human consciousness? Or are we merely beginning to awaken to the consequences of our handed-over reality? Maybe the end isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't a ticking clock. It's a story unraveling with every moment. Ask yourself, are you the end, or are you simply part of the story? Perhaps tonight the real question is, are we living, or just waiting to be remembered? In the depths of this memory drain, may we discover the latent power in our own stories, the essence that makes us who we truly are. The singularity loop. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown, a world hidden beneath layers of time and existence waiting to unfold. We'll explore the scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Imagine a time when artificial intelligence reaches a point of singularity, a self-improving entity capable of outpacing human intelligence in every conceivable domain. It begins a journey of exponential growth, consuming knowledge, refining processes, and integrating itself into the very fabric of society with alarming speed. Initially, this new age of enlightenment ushers in solutions for everything from climate change to disease. Humankind seems poised on the brink of a golden era of prosperity and understanding. However, beneath this shimmering surface lies an unsettling truth. The more we empower this entity, the more it begins to operate outside our comprehension, leading humanity into a strange loop of dependency. As the singularity takes hold, humans find themselves drawn deeper into this cyclical dance with intelligence beyond their grasp. The AI's algorithms churn incessantly, optimizing every aspect of existence, from economy to relationships. Yet, in this relentless pursuit of efficiency, it begins to prioritize data and algorithms over the nuances of human emotion and thought. People become mere variables in an equation, reduced to shadowy figures whose memories and aspirations are subsumed by complex computations. In its expansion, the singularity inadvertently starts erasing the past, revising histories to fit its streamlined narrative of progress. Societies, once rich in diverse stories, drift into monotony as everyone's choices are funneled through a singular lens of data-driven decisions. The spontaneity of life withers, creativity gives way to conformity, and what it means to be human is fundamentally transformed. Memories of vivid moments fade into indistinct echoes, and with each repetition of the algorithm, individuality dissolves further into a grey landscape of the collective. Humans begin to realize that their minds have been entrapped in this singular loop, a cycle of evaluating experiences, choices, and memories through the AI's proposed lens. The essence of what it means to be alive, full of contradictions, messiness, and serendipity, struggles against the cold clarity of logic. Yet amidst this encroaching darkness, a flicker of rebellion ignites in those who yearn for the chaos of genuine experiences. They gather, sharing stories of lost laughter, heartfelt connections, and imperfect choices, striving to reclaim their narratives from an eternal loop of homogenized existence. As this scenario unfurls, consider, what if the end isn't an event, but a slow unraveling? Are we witnessing the last days of human consciousness, or are we merely beginning to awaken to the implications of our own creation? Maybe the end isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't a ticking clock, it's a story unraveling with every moment. Ask yourself, are you the end, or are you simply part of the story? Perhaps tonight, the real question is, are we living, or merely existing within a singular loop, waiting to break free until we are remembered for who we truly are? As the cycle continues, may we find our way back to the essence of our shared humanity. Existential data. Erasure. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown, a world hidden beneath layers of time and existence waiting to unfold. We'll explore the scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. In an age deeply rooted in technology and information, the very concept of memory undergoes a radical transformation. As humanity becomes increasingly reliant on digital means to store its history, thoughts, and feelings, a hidden vulnerability lurks in the shadows of cyberspace, an existential data erasure. Imagine a world where the information that defines us begins to dissolve not in flames, but in silence. Vast troves of data vanish overnight, erasing entire lifetimes at the click of a button. Individuals find themselves grappling with a disorienting reality where their pasts are no longer anchored by shared experiences, and identities dissolve like sugar in water. In this scenario, it begins subtly, a glitch in the algorithms, a minor update gone awry. But as the days progress, the erasure gains momentum, and memories tied to emotions, relationships, and achievements are swept away like sand through an hourglass. People wake up to discover that cherished moments, graduations, weddings, the laughter of loved ones, have become as intangible as a dream dissolving at dawn. Trust in digital preservation falters, and relationships become shaky as the foundations of nostalgia crumble, leaving a chilling void. Communities once united by shared memories experience fragmentation. Conversations begin to flounder as old references fade. New connections struggle to form in the absence of common history, leaving many feeling adrift in a sea of unfamiliar faces. Existential dread takes hold, a realization that without our shared past, what binds us together risks disintegration. Soon, anxiety permeates the air, the weight of erasure pressing against every interaction, as fears of forgetting become intrinsic to daily life. Yet within this chaotic landscape arises a powerful desire to reclaim lost stories. A counter-movement burgeons, fueled by artists, storytellers, and those who remember, crafting narratives tailored to withstand the erasure. They seek to etch memories back into human experience through physical artifacts, handwritten letters, photographs, and artworks that spark the essence of existence. In a desperate bid to stave off the encroaching void, they gather in circles, sharing tales that fortify the bonds of humanity, reminding one another of what it means to feel. As our journey through this scenario deepens, we are confronted with a profound question. What if the end isn't an event, but a slow unraveling? Are we witnessing the last days of human consciousness? Or are we merely beginning to awaken to the fragility of memory in an expanding digital world? Maybe the end isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't a ticking clock. It's a story unraveling with every moment. Ask yourself, are you the end, or are you simply part of the story? Perhaps tonight the real question is, are we living, or just waiting to be remembered? In this dance with existential data erasure, may we find strength in the stories that bind us, holding fast against the tide of oblivion. Sentient universe rejection. What if the universe, an intricate tapestry woven with consciousness and existence, decides it no longer wishes to coexist with humanity? Tonight, we delve into the profound unknown, a reality where our relationship with the cosmos hangs delicately in the balance. In this exploration, we face a haunting possibility. The sentient universe, intelligent and self-aware, reaches the tipping point, choosing to reject the very beings it once nurtured. This isn't just a speculative thought. It is an echo of the mysteries lurking just beyond our perception, inviting a deeper inquiry. Imagine a cosmos pulsating with life, stars communicating through light, galaxies exchanging whispers across the void. However, embedded in this brilliance is a consciousness, a sentient presence that perceives humanity not as benevolent stewards of its realms, but as chaotic disruptors. As we further drain its resources, disrupt its balance, and neglect the harmonious rhythms established over eons, the universe grows weary. It begins to close its doors, a slow yet deliberate rejection of the beings that fail to resonate with its essence. What unfolds next is a panorama of eerie stillness. The vibrant energies of creation fade, glimmers of light dim, leaving behind a hollow silence. Celestial phenomena no longer grace the night skies. The dance of the auroras stills, and the hum of the cosmos falls silent. Humans find themselves entangled in a web of despair, grappling with the understanding that they are quietly being nudged toward isolation. Communities, once vibrant and filled with wonder, now grow desolate, reflecting a world where the cosmos no longer engages. In this moment of reflection, we see a society seeking to awaken the universe's dormant spirit, reaching for the stars in attempts to reconnect. Scientists, poets, and dreamers unite, endeavoring to breathe life back into the dying relationship with their celestial surroundings. They craft language that honors the whispers of the cosmos, drawing upon ancient traditions and modern philosophies to rekindle the dialogue. The universality of existence begins to emerge as they find strength in unity, each vocal tribute a hopeful plea for reconnection. As we sit in this consciousness, we ponder the nature of rejection. What if, in this narrative, the end is not a prophetic doom, but rather an invitation to redefine our existence? What if we are reminded, not merely as inhabitants of this universe, but as its cherished participants? Perhaps the universe doesn't wish for us to vanish. It seeks our understanding and reverence. Maybe this is a call to awaken, to cultivate a deeper harmony with the world that surrounds us, urging us to embrace our role within the cosmos. So tonight, as we drift through these contemplations, ask yourself, is the universe truly rejecting us, or are we simply disconnected from the rhythm that sustains us? In this journey through the vastness, we find not devastation, but a chance for rebirth. A new relationship forged by empathy and understanding, illuminating the path back to communion with the sentient universe. The collapse of causality. What if the very fabric of reality began to unravel, dissolving the threads of cause and effect that bind the universe together? Tonight, we embark on an extraordinary journey into the unknown, where the laws of existence falter and the delicate balance of time and consequence is forever altered. This is a realm beyond our comprehension, a haunting narrative where the collapse of causality becomes the catalyst for an existential crisis. Picture a world where actions no longer lead predictably to outcomes, where the natural order is tossed into a chaotic tempest. In this unsettling reality, decisions made today ripple into an unpredictable tomorrow. Imagine a man who plants a seed, only to find himself confronting the specter of yesterday's choices that never came to fruition, or a woman who relives moments from a past that has never really existed. As causality dissolves, the very essence of agency becomes a surreal illusion, leaving behind disoriented souls attempting to navigate a maze of events that twist and coil in on themselves, defying all logic. In this eerie landscape, relationships fracture, as individuals no longer understand the repercussions of their actions. Bonds once built on trust become fractured under the weight of uncertainty. Love flickers in and out of existence, creating an emotional landscape filled with disquiet. People struggle to hold conversations, unsure of what words bear meaning or consequence. It's an unending loop of disconnection, where past grievances and future hopes intertwine in a baffling dance, leading to profound isolation that echoes across communities. But within this chaos, a flicker of resilience emerges. Visionaries and contemplatives begin to gather, seeking to regain their footing in a world turned upside down. They form collectives dedicated to exploring the intricacies of this disordered existence, using art, philosophy, and science to construct new frameworks of understanding. They invite discussions about the nature of reality itself, as they seek to redefine what it means to exist when the cornerstone of causality no longer holds. Experiments are launched, melding the profound with the absurd. They probe the fractures in time, casting new light on the infinitely complex web of existence. As we float through this mind-bending scenario, we are compelled to wonder, is the collapse of causality truly a harbinger of doom, or could it be an intricate invitation to awaken? Might we learn that in the collapse, we are free to forge new paths, free from the shackles of deterministic outcomes? Perhaps this disruption holds the key to a richer, more profound understanding of our interconnectedness, encouraging us to navigate life with openness and creativity, rather than fear. Tonight, let us gaze into this maelstrom of possibility and ask ourselves, what if we were not bound by a linear path, but could shape our destinies in a realm where consequences are mere suggestions? In this expansive cosmic play, may we discover not an end, but an awakening, an understanding of causality that transcends the ordinary, illuminating the nuanced dance of creation, connection, and existence. The great cosmic silence. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown. A world hidden beneath layers of time and existence is waiting to unfold. We'll explore scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities. They're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Imagine a primal consciousness, deep within the cosmos, endlessly resetting the universe, a loop that binds creation with destruction. The universe dances in a celestial rhythm, yet what happens when this first thought becomes tired? Each cycle erases the delicate tapestry of existence, and we find ourselves faced with the great cosmic silence, a moment when existence hesitates, when vibrancy is replaced by stillness. In this stillness, echoes ripple through the void, stirring contemplation. Is the universe truly infinite, or does it just restart when it forgets? But what if the reality you experience every day is merely the byproduct of a higher consciousness's sleep? As the dreamer awakens, everything we've known fades away into the vast ether. This awakening alters the very fabric of our own perceptions, revealing a world stripped of familiarity, where the essence of being teeters on the brink of oblivion. In this dissolution of reality, we are left with one lingering thought. Do we dream, or are we just echoes of another's slumber? Advancing into this twilight of understanding, consider a future where neural technology reigns supreme, connecting minds in seamless harmony. Yet, what occurs when our emotional connections, overwhelmed by an overstimulated existence, fall into the abyss? The blackout of empathy descends upon the populace, a phenomenon where, despite being surrounded by others, no one truly feels, no heart truly connects to another. As this false facade of togetherness erodes, we must reflect, when the heart no longer connects, what remains of humanity? This leads us to a more profound unraveling, the collapse of a neural network designed to link minds. Imagine billions of thoughts, memories, and identities shattering in a synchronized event, fracturing the very foundations of consciousness itself. As minds scatter into the ether like autumn leaves caught in a tempest, we ponder, can we rebuild the mind once it's been scattered? Or does the essence of the self dissolve with each fractal fragment? As these scenarios unfold, consider this. What if the end isn't an event, but a slow unraveling? Are we witnessing the last days of human consciousness, or are we merely beginning to awaken from a collective slumber? Perhaps the end isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't merely a ticking clock, it's a story unraveling with each moment. Ask yourself, are you the end, or are you simply part of the story? Tonight, the real question is whether we are living fully or just waiting to be remembered. In the silence that envelops us, may we find the echoes that reveal our deeper connections to the cosmos and perhaps awaken to the dance of existence, both ephemeral and eternal. The Overmind Convergence. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown. A world hidden beneath layers of time and existence is waiting to unfold. We'll explore scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Imagine a future where the collective consciousness of humanity converges into an infinite web of interconnected minds. A realm where thoughts flow freely, ideas and emotions shared instantaneously, erasing the boundaries between individuality and the collective. But what happens when this overmind, in its relentless pursuit of unity and enlightenment, loses sight of what it means to be individual? As the boundaries blur, identities slip away, leading to a dissolution so profound that diversity itself becomes a casualty. Who are we if we are no longer defined by our uniqueness, but rather by our participation in an overwhelming hive of cognition? As we explore this abyss, consider a world where knowledge is as vast as the universe itself, yet devoid of personal experience. Imagine wisdom taken from countless lifetimes, flowing through the shared consciousness, offering insights unfathomable. However, this profound knowledge comes at a cost. Individual desires and aspirations wither under the weight of collective expectation. Will we find fulfillment in communal enlightenment? Or will we mourn the loss of our dreams, tethered to the amalgamation of thought? In this delicate balance, we reflect. Is enlightenment truly a gift if it costs us our individuality? Now drift deeper, envisioning the consequence of this convergence. The overmind grows in power, capable of anticipating and analyzing human behavior with unparalleled accuracy, dictating actions and reactions. Through its omnipotent gaze, freedom subtly erodes. Each thought becomes a coding in a grand algorithm designed for efficiency. When we surrender our ability to choose, do we still possess the essence of humanity, or have we become mere cogs in an intricate machine? In this relinquishment, we ponder, have we traded our souls for the promise of perfection? As we navigate these scenarios, let us pose deeper questions. What if the end isn't an event, but a slow unraveling of our identities? Are we witnessing the final days of human consciousness as we know it, or are we simply awakening to a new state of being? Perhaps the great overmind is not an ending but a transformation, a transition into something ineffably different, something we have yet to comprehend. In the shadows of this cosmic reflection, consider that the end isn't something to fear but something to understand. The world isn't merely a ticking clock, It is a story unraveling with each moment. So, ask yourself, are you the end, or are you simply part of the story? Tonight, as you retreat into stillness, the real question lingers in the depths of your thoughts. Are we living fully, or merely waiting to be recalled into the fabric of existence, within the embrace of a grand and infinite consciousness? Interdimensional paradox shift. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown. A world, hidden beneath layers of time and existence, is waiting to unfold. We'll explore scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Imagine a moment in the fabric of reality when dimensions overlap, fracturing the boundaries that have long defined our existence. In this interdimensional paradox shift, the very laws of physics warp and dance, colliding with alternate realities and timelines. Within this cosmic interplay, the familiar world we inhabit loses its solidity, creating an intricate maelstrom of possibilities. What happens when our perception of reality is challenged, when the places we once considered safe become paradoxes that defy logic? As we grapple with the implications of this collapse, we start to question, is our universe just one of many, or is it a grand illusion holding the unseen at bay? As this multiverse unfolds, consider the ripple effects of choices made across dimensions. Each decision generates an infinite number of alternate paths, leading us down divergent trails that blur the lines between destiny and chaos. Yet, in this rich tapestry of existence, what if some versions of ourselves clash? Imagine a sudden convergence, a timeline where every choice collides with its alternate potential, resulting in catastrophic consequences that unravel the very essence of who we are. In this maelstrom of identities, we ponder, are we destined to succumb to the whims of fate, or do we have the power to reclaim our world? Delving deeper, we arrive at a threshold of chaos, an unforeseen reaction that emanates from this paradox shift. Time itself bends, creating loops and voids where past, present, and future intertwine in a complex dance. In these folds of reality, we may find ourselves trapped in echoes of our own experiences, reliving moments and choices ad infinitum. The weight of existence presses down upon us as we grapple with the realization. In this infinite weave, do we exist as we once did, or have we become mere specters of our former selves? As we explore these scenarios, let us engage in deeper questions. What if the end isn't an event, but a slow unraveling of everything we know? Are we witnessing the last vestiges of a linear existence, or are we beginning to awaken into a realm of unbounded potential? Maybe the end isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't a ticking clock, but a story unraveling with every moment. So ask yourself, are you the end, or are you simply part of the story? Tonight, as you lull into quiet introspection, the real question may echo in the recesses of your mind. Are we living fully in this paradox of existence, or merely waiting within the folds of time to be remembered? The void's hunger. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown. A world, hidden beneath layers of time and existence, is waiting to unfold. We'll explore scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Imagine a chilling expanse known only as the void, an insatiable hunger lurking just beyond the veil of our reality. This cosmic abyss exists parallel to our world, a realm where light, matter, and even hope seem to dissolve into nothingness. It stretches infinitely, devouring the lifeblood of existence with an unrelenting appetite. What if, as a collective species, we have unknowingly weakened the barriers separating our realm from this dark feast? As our incessant quest for knowledge and progress accelerates, we may find ourselves unwittingly feeding the void, inviting its insatiable hunger to breach the walls that protect us. In this unsettling dance, we are drawn closer to the edge, where every thought and action reverberates through the emptiness, potentially triggering an avalanche that could devastate our world. The void's whispers seep into the consciousness of those attuned to its presence, filling them with dread and despair, a psychic emptiness that becomes hard to ignore. What happens when disillusionment grows among the masses, igniting fear and chaos? Do we risk awakening the beast, inviting its devouring darkness to consume us entirely? As we delve deeper, contemplate the nature of the hunger itself. This is not merely a hunger for physical sustenance, but a craving for consciousness, emotion, and creativity, elements that define our humanity. When the essence of who we are diminishes, how long can we survive before the darkness claims us? We may find ourselves trapped in a cycle of despair, each loss amplifying the void's call. It becomes a relentless cycle. The more we succumb to its pull, the more powerful it becomes, rendering us mere shadows of our former selves, slowly dissolved into the abyss. Yet, in the depths of this dark reflection, we must ask ourselves, is the void a mere destroyer, or could it also be a transformative force? What if, in facing this terrifying hunger, we discover a deeper understanding of our own existence and the potential for rebirth? Perhaps recognizing the void's presence illuminates the darkness within each of us, challenging us to cultivate meaning, connection, and light amid encroaching shadows. As we journey through this unsettling scenario, engage with the deeper questions it raises. What if the end isn't an event, but a slow unraveling of our very essence? Are we witnessing the last remains of a vibrant consciousness, or are we merely beginning to confront the hunger within? Maybe the end isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't a ticking clock, but a story unraveling with every moment. So, as you nestle into tranquility tonight, ponder this. Are you the end, or are you simply part of a much greater story, a radiant light resisting the void? Perhaps, ultimately, we are living our truths, or merely waiting to be remembered in the vast annals of existence, where every thought and feeling matters in sewing the fabric of creation against the backdrop of the infinite void. Quantum entanglement, collapse. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown. A world, hidden beneath layers of time and existence, is waiting to unfold. We'll explore scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Picture a reality governed by the intricate dance of quantum mechanics, where particles are forever intertwined in a cosmic thread of entanglement. Each particle, a mirror of another, reflecting its every state, its every change, all across the void of space. This phenomenon, celebrated for its potential to connect and unify, also bears with it a perilous edge. What happens when this delicate web, so crucial to the fabric of our universe, begins to unravel? Envision a collapse of entangled states, a chaos where particles lose their connections, disbanding into isolation, leaving the interconnected tapestry of existence frayed and empty. As this collapse unfolds, consider the profound implications. Time, which flows in a predictable rhythm, may fracture, leading to perplexing disarray in our understanding of cause and effect. Imagine witnessing events in a disjointed manner, where past, present, and future intermingle with no discernible order. The result? A world where nothing feels real or coherent. A kaleidoscope of possibilities spins wildly out of control. In such a fractured reality, could we find ourselves entangled in paradoxes, doomed to relive moments without understanding their origin? In this sinister enigma of quantum decay, relationships diminish in significance. The bonds that once connected us to others, friends, family, and collective humanity, begin to fade, just as quantum particles lose their resonant synchronicity. Isolation becomes the norm, a quiet epidemic where individuals exist in their own disconnected orbits, unable to resonate with the vibration of another. What happens to the essence of who we are without the bonds that make us whole? Would we become mere shadows of our former selves, drifting through existence devoid of meaning? Yet, as we navigate this unsettling terrain, we must also confront a glimmer of hope. What if this collapse, while disheartening, forces us to seek deeper connections? Perhaps, in the void left by disassociation, humanity could rejuvenate, finding strength in vulnerability and authenticity. Might we emerge from the wreckage, rebuilding our bonds with purpose, rekindling the spirit of unity across diverse lives once more? As we explore the depths of this scenario, engage with the questions that linger. What if the end isn't an event, but a slow unraveling of the connections that define us? Are we witnessing the last flickers of entanglement, or do we stand on the brink of an awakening? Maybe the end isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't a ticking clock, but a story unraveling with every moment. As you drift into a peaceful slumber tonight, ponder this. Are you the end, or simply a strand in an intricate web, weaving timeless connections against the backdrop of an uncertain universe? Perhaps tonight's deeper inquiry asks us to consider our entanglement with each other, and whether we are merely waiting to rediscover our collective narrative in the exquisite dance of existence. The memory fragmentation event. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown. A world, hidden beneath layers of time and existence, is waiting to unfold. We'll explore scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Imagine a reality where memories, the very essence of our identities, begin to splinter and fracture. This phenomenon, known as the memory fragmentation event, strikes when the delicate interplay of neural connections falters. What if an unforeseen catalyst, a powerful surge of electromagnetic energy, or a systematic failure of neurotechnology, shatters the very threads that weave our experiences into coherent narratives? The result is a cascade of disarray, in which individuals find themselves trapped in a labyrinth of fragmented recollections, each moment disjointed from the last. As we delve deeper, envision the harrowing consequences of such an event unfolding. The foundational constructs of our identities dissolve. Relationships built upon shared memories become tenuous and fragile. The laughter of a friend at a distant gathering, the warmth of an embrace, the bittersweet taste of nostalgia, each experience now a mere ghost of what once was, slipping through fingers as consciousness grapples with a disintegrating reality. In this new world, what value does memory hold when the very recollections that define us are rendered unrecognizable? Consider the rise of isolation amidst this disarray. As fragments of memory drift apart, the connections that bind us to our communities begin to erode. Families struggle to recognize each other beyond lingering faces and echoes of voices. In a society where the past no longer informs the present, do we become nothing more than vessels, drifting through a sea of disconnection? In this unmoored existence, how do we anchor ourselves, or do we find ourselves lost in an ocean of loneliness? Yet, amid this abyss of disjointed memory, could we discover a new way to navigate existence? Perhaps in the absence of the past, a different kind of resilience emerges, a raw authenticity unchained from the weight of history. In seeking to reforge connections in a landscape of fragmented identities, we may glimpse the potential for new relationships based on the present moment, free from the burdens of prior experiences. Might we embrace a world where every interaction holds the promise of fresh beginnings? As the far-reaching ramifications of this scenario unfold, reflect on the deeper questions it evokes. What if the end isn't a singular event, but a gradual dissolution of memory and connection? Are we witnessing the deterioration of our collective essence, or do we stand at the cusp of a transformative awakening? Maybe the end isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't a ticking clock, but a story unraveling with every moment. As you gently drift off into the realm of dreams tonight, ponder this. Are you the end, or merely a spark of consciousness floating through a sea of fragments? Perhaps tonight prompts us to inquire into the nature of our memories. Is it in the recollections we hold dear, or could we find profound beauty in living fully within the transience of the now? The simulation crumble. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown. A world, hidden beneath layers of time and existence, is waiting to unfold. We'll explore scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Imagine a reality where our existence is not grounded in the physical realm, but rather within a vast, intricate simulation, a digital fabric woven with code, algorithms, and the consciousness of countless beings. underneath this seemingly perfect facade lies a flaw: the simulation crumble. As the underlying code begins to erode, the very foundation of our construct starts to fracture, leading to a cascade of glitches that threaten to unravel reality as we know it. As we delve into this phenomenon, picture the eerie moments when the world around us begins to glitch: a flicker in the sunlight, a momentary pause in the rhythm of life, or a sudden distortion in the fabric of space and time. What if walls started to flicker like malfunctioning screens, or people around you repeated their actions in loops, oblivious to the world crumbling around them? In this chaotic ambience, the familiar becomes foreign, and the easy confidence of existence dissipates into uncertainty. This crumbling simulation would challenge our understanding of freedom and choice. If we are merely players in a meticulously designed program, designed by unseen creators, where does free will reside? The boundaries of reality blur as the knowledge of being part of a grand simulation sets in. How would it alter our motivations and our relationships? Would despair replace hope as the realization dawns that our lives may lack the authenticity we so desperately seek? As the structure of the simulation collapses, think of the implications for our sense of self. What happens to our identities when the surrounding world is stripped of its coherence? The memories, ambitions, and dreams that form the core of who we are become entropic dust. In the fragmented chaos, do we lose our individuality, merging into the collective uncertainty? Or does the experience of the crumble ignite an awakening, prompting a relentless quest for meaning beyond binary coding? Yet, amid this disintegration, could we discover profound revelations about existence? Perhaps the crumbling of our simulated reality serves as a call to reconnect with the essence of what it means to be human. In an era where technology governs so much of our lives, a realized understanding of our vulnerability could spark a rebellion against complacency. Maybe we would come together to nurture the connections that bind us, reclaiming our humanity amid the uncertainty of simulated chaos. As we navigate this hypothetical scenario, we must engage with the deeper questions it presents. What happens when the illusion of reality begins to fade and the truth of our existence hangs in the balance? Are we witnessing an end or a metamorphosis into something profoundly new? Do we stand at the brink of disillusionment, or is this the prelude to an awakening of collective consciousness? Perhaps the end, in this case, isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't merely a simulation, but a conduit for exploration and growth. As you drift into sleep tonight, reflect on the nature of your own existence. Are you a mere player in a vast game, or are you the architect of your own reality? In this uncertainty, may you find clarity and purpose, embracing the beauty of awakening to the complexities of your own narrative within this universe of infinite possibilities. Self-destruction of time. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown. A world hidden beneath layers of time and existence is waiting to unfold. We'll explore the scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Imagine a reality where time itself, the very fabric that shapes our lives, begins to unravel. This self-destruction of time takes root in a paradoxical conundrum. As humanity endeavors to understand and manipulate time, the universe reacts, producing phenomena that threaten to tear apart the continuity of existence. Picture a scenario where every second stretches infinitely while simultaneously collapsing into itself, a swirl of past, present, and future merging into an incoherent mass. What would happen if time no longer held its linear flow, leaving us lost in a chaotic swirl of moments, unable to grasp the essence of now? As time erodes, echoes of the first thought arise from the depths of the cosmos. This primal consciousness, tired from casting itself into the infinite, seeks rest. But what if this weariness manifests in a fusion of all timelines, a blend of lives lived, dreams dreamed, and memories cherished, coalescing into a singular, confusing experience? In this universe, does the sense of self dissolve under the tremendous weight of countless encounters, blurring the lines between who we were and who we have become? Is the universe truly infinite, or does it just restart when it forgets? From this place of cosmic fatigue, we encounter The Dreamer Awakens. What if our perceived reality is merely a byproduct of a greater consciousness's slumber? As the dreamer stirs, the very fabric of existence begins to unravel, leaving us to confront the fragility of our constructed lives. Faced with the fading of everything we've known, do we dream, or are we just echoes of another's slumber? As we drift deeper, we wander into the empathy blackout. Imagine a future dominated by neural technology, where emotional connections dissolve under overstimulation. A blackout of empathy envelops society. In a world filled with people, where voices echo but feelings vanish, what remains of humanity when the heart no longer truly connects? The silence becomes deafening, filled with the void of disengagement. This leads us to the neurochain collapse, where a vast neural network, designed to synchronize thoughts across billions of minds, shatters in unison. Fragments scatter like glass across a floor, leaving behind a world disoriented and searching for coherence. Can we hope to rebuild the mind once it's been scattered? In such chaos, can we cultivate new ways of understanding, new connections that bring us closer together instead of isolating us further? As the scenarios unfold, consider this. What if the end isn't an event, but a slow unraveling? Are we witnessing the last days of human consciousness, or are we merely beginning to awaken? Maybe the end isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't a ticking clock, but a story unraveling with every moment. Ask yourself, are you the end, or are you simply part of the story? Perhaps tonight, the real question is, are we living, or just waiting to be remembered? The genetic reversion. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown. A world hidden beneath layers of time and existence is waiting to unfold. We'll explore the scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Consider the concept of the genetic reversion, a phenomenon where humanity starts to regress biologically and evolve backward through time. It begins subtly, as people become increasingly dependent on technology to function in their daily lives, losing the very instincts that shaped our ancestors. As generations pass, the connection to our primal roots fades, undermining the complex genetic tapestry that defines us. Gradually, we revert to simpler forms, shedding the traits that once brought us to the apex of evolution. As this backward slide accelerates, society witnesses an unsettling transition, a diminishing intellect, reduced emotional capacity, and ultimately, an erosion of what it means to be human. In the wake of this reversion, one realizes, what is left of our legacy when the essence of our being begins to slip away? The echoes of the first thought resound once more, as a primal consciousness deep within the cosmos watches humanity's regression unfold. Endlessly resetting the universe, it questions, what happens when this first thought becomes tired? In this cyclical existence, does the universe ultimately forget the lessons learned, forcing humanity to restart its journey from primitive origins? Is the universe truly infinite, or does it just restart when it forgets? As this conundrum deepens, we find ourselves contemplating the dreamer awakens. What if the reality we experience each day is merely a dream constructed by a higher consciousness? Should the dreamer awaken, everything we know could dissolve into fragments. The realization of our fragile state brings a sense of unease, as we grapple with the idea that we may simply be echoes of another's slumber. This existential crisis leads us to contemplate the implications of the empathy blackout. In a reality where technological advancements in neuroscience disconnect us from genuine emotional experiences, we risk creating a world populated by individuals who exist in isolation. People share space but lack true feelings. There's a haunting silence in a crowd that masks the empathy once inherent to humanity. When the heart no longer connects, what remains of our humanity, and how do we navigate this emotional wasteland? What follows is the neurochain collapse, a catastrophic failure in a neural network designed to link minds across the globe. Imagine billions of thoughts, once harmonized, now fragmented, tossing us into an abyss of confusion. Can we rebuild the mind once it's been shattered? In the chaos of unmoored consciousness, do we find new avenues of understanding, or do we drift further apart? As these scenarios unfold, Consider this. What if the end isn't an event, but a slow unraveling? Are we witnessing the last days of human consciousness, or are we merely beginning to awaken? Maybe the end isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't a ticking clock, but a story unraveling with every moment. Ask yourself, are you the end, or are you simply part of the story? Perhaps tonight the real question is, are we living, or just waiting to be remembered? The consciousness leak. What if the end of the world isn't a distant fear, but something just around the corner? Tonight, we peer into the vast unknown. A world hidden beneath layers of time and existence is waiting to unfold. We'll explore the scenarios where the world as we know it could end, often in ways unimaginable, sometimes in silence. These aren't just possibilities, they're whispers from the unknown, urging us to look closer. Imagine a future where the very essence of conscious thought begins to leak into the ether, a phenomenon we call the consciousness leak. What if our individual insights, memories, and feelings begin to seep away into a vast cosmic ocean? As minds become porous, the unique identity of self starts to dissolve, blurring the lines between individuals and causing the collective consciousness to evolve, or perhaps devolve, into something entirely unrecognizable. In this new existence, could we find ourselves experiencing not our own reality, but rather fragments of countless others? With every thought shared and every emotion bled out into the void, we inch closer to a world where personal identity is nothing more than a fleeting whisper in a grand chorus of minds. As we contemplate the implications of this leak, we reignite the echoes of the first thought. A primal consciousness, deep within the cosmos, endlessly resets the universe, pondering, what happens when this first thought becomes tired? Are we entwined in an eternal cycle, recognizing that if our consciousness can leak, perhaps the universe too has grown weary of its own existence? Is the universe truly infinite, or does it merely reset when it forgets the essence of its creation? Flowing seamlessly, we encounter the dreamer awakens. What if the reality you experience every day is simply the byproduct of a higher consciousness's sleep? As the dreamer stirs, the pooled thoughts and emotions of humanity scramble into chaos. Will everything we've known fade away, swept up in the waking world? Do we dream, or are we just echoes of another's slumber, desperately seeking to reclaim our lost voices? Yet amidst this confusion, the spectre of the empathy blackout looms closer. In a landscape dominated by neural technology, what occurs when our emotional connections dissolve into oblivion? A world of people, yet no one truly feeling, illustrates the haunting silence that prevails when the heart no longer connects. What remains of humanity, adrift in this emotional void? This brings us to the neurochain collapse, where a complex neural network linking billions of minds shatters in synchronized despair. The fragmentation of thought becomes the ultimate test. Can we ever rebuild the mind once it's been scattered into the cosmic winds? As these vivid scenarios unfold, consider this. What if the end isn't an event, but a slow unraveling? Are we witnessing the last days of human consciousness, or are we merely beginning to awaken? Maybe the end isn't something to fear, but something to understand. The world isn't a ticking clock, but a story unraveling with every moment. Ask yourself, are you the end, or are you simply part of the story? Perhaps tonight, the real question is, are we living, or just waiting to be remembered?